buy real estate, get a second passport. All the countries where you can legally get a second citizenship by just buying a property in that country, and also countries where you can get residency. So you might get long-term residency or permanent residency by buying property. The first ones are going to be in the Caribbean. I'm a citizen of St. Kitts, but that's going to be on the more expensive side of real estate, $325,000. You buy real estate approved by the government. Very important. Caribbean real estate has to be approved by the government, so you're not really getting something that is worth what you're spending. And in most cases, the approved projects are way overpriced. So you might pay, let's say, $500,000 for a place that is really worth 350 grand. In comparison to the places in Europe, for example, where you might buy in the open market and get residency that way in Europe, those are going to be on the open market, so therefore they're going to be more priced properly than the ones in the Caribbean. Let's go by price increases. Dominica, $200,000. $200,000 doesn't buy you a house, doesn't buy you a cottage, anything like that. It buys you, for example, a suite in a hotel. If you want to get your money back within 5 or 7 years, in some cases, then that might be a good option for you. And you might stay in Dominica, let's say 5 days a year for free in your hotel suite that you paid for. Works for some people. For most people, they just prefer donating $200,000, getting rid of that money, getting the citizenship, and then forgetting completely about it, not having to worry about the investment many years in the future. Depends on you. Going by price increases, Grenada is $270,000. This option is great because it's outside of the hurricane belt, so less likely to be destroyed by a hurricane in the Caribbean. But again, you're buying approved real estate. So most likely you're again buying a suite in a hotel room, and you need to have the hassle of selling it a couple of years later, but you get your money back instead of donating $235,000. Then we have St. Lucia, $300,000 into real estate or $300,000 into bonds. Some people prefer the bond option because they can just sell the bonds easier as opposed to selling the real estate, which again has to be approved and it's not really properly priced and the prices might go down. So you might be buying real estate at $300,000 and then the price goes down to $270,000 and then nobody wants to buy your $300,000 hotel suite or small apartment or anything in a government approved project. They want to buy it for $270,000. So you end up losing some of that money. You don't lose the $200,000 donation. If you donated to the country, you would have lost that $200,000 completely because you're just donating it. So you're getting some of the money back. But in terms of getting the money back completely or getting it easier back, the bonds option might be better. Antigua and Barbuda, completely tax-free country, famous for its 365 beaches. It's $300,000 into real estate. And then St. Kitts and Nevis, the program that I did back when it was $150,000 as a donation, is $325,000 into government approved real estate. All these passports, all these citizenships are essentially the same, apart from some small differences. For example, Dominica has a worse reputation than St. Kitts and Nevis, which has been running for the longest time out of all these programs. And for example, countries like St. Vincent and the Grenadines have talked about launching a program in the future, but they're essentially all the same passport. Another 2 countries, I don't really recommend them. They don't fit most people, but you might be interested in these regions, and that is Egypt, $300,000 into real estate. A lot of people have gotten Egyptian citizenship, but that is because they already have an interest in Egypt. They already anyway had a business or real estate in Egypt. I wouldn't recommend an American or UK citizen getting an Egyptian passport really for any reason, unless they're interested in doing specific business within Egypt or the region. And then Cambodia, $305,000 into real estate. The only reason why I would recommend this program is specific interest in the country. You want to buy land in Cambodia, you want to make specific investments that require you to be a citizen, or you want to have access to the ASEAN countries, somehow a little bit better access by being part of an ASEAN nation. In some cases, it might benefit you. And the last direct citizenship by real estate investment country is Turkey for $400,000. More than 40,000 or even 50,000 people have gone through this program. It takes a long time, more than a year. It requires a lot of documentation, but the great thing is you can buy in the open market. So you can buy a house in Antalya or an apartment in Istanbul or a new development or anything you want, and you get that Turkish passport. Not one of the best passports in the world, doesn't even have access to the Schengen area, but it could be beneficial if you already have a passport that has access to the Schengen area. Maybe you're a European citizen and you want something outside of the EU as a hedge. This could work pretty well. We also have clients that have multiple passports, and one of them is the Turkish one because they traveled to Turkey a lot because they were going to make an investment in Turkey anyway. So in those cases, it might work well. Now, for the countries where you can get residency in exchange for an investment into real estate, there are a lot. And there are some countries where you can make an investment into real estate and then eventually get granted citizenship. For example, Serbia. One of our clients from the Philippines recently got accepted for Serbian citizenship by exception because he invested more than €1 million into real estate in Serbia. And he also opened a business in Serbia and then got citizenship by exception. He decided not to get one of these Caribbean passports to improve his travel freedom. He decided to get a Serbian passport, which is much better in my opinion. I recommend a lot of people invest in Serbia, get citizenship, residency, and so on. More popular programs are Hungary. Now, you're not investing into real estate directly, you're investing into a real estate fund. 250,000 euros grants you a 10-year golden visa in Hungary, which you can then extend. Unfortunately, Hungary has said that real estate will not qualify under the golden visa, so it was 250K into real estate funds or 500K into real estate, but the 500K real estate has been removed. Only the 250K real estate fund option is available, and you cannot apply for Hungarian citizenship unless you learn the language and actually live in Hungary for over 7 or 8 years. Also, Greece, 400,000 euros into one of the smaller cities or 800,000 euros in one of the bigger cities like Athens or Thessaloniki gets you a Greek golden visa, which is essentially working as a permanent residency permit in Greece. You can extend it indefinitely. You're not getting Greek citizenship. You're not becoming Greek unless you learn the language, unless you spend a lot of time in Greece. And usually they might not even naturalize you unless you're ethnically Greek. But it's a program that a lot of our clients have done because they just want access, more access to the Schengen area. And a lot of Chinese, of Indians, of Arab nations, a lot of nationalities that don't have access to the Schengen area have done this program in order to get that access pretty relatively easy compared to other golden visa programs like Portugal that takes more than 3 years to get approved. And in Portugal, for example, there is no real estate option. There is a real estate fund option, 500,000 euros into a fund, but you can't buy real estate directly. The same with Spain. You can't anymore buy real estate directly. It used to be 500,000 euros or more, grants you a 3-year golden visa, which you can then extend for 5 more years and then apply for permanent residency. But unfortunately, that program has been closed due to pressure from the European Commission. The European Commission does not want rich people that are providing value and money to Europe to come to Europe. Nah, we don't want those rich people. They're evil. They suck. The UAE, 550,000 US dollars into real estate grants you a 10-year golden visa, which you don't need to be there to renew. So if you want to get access to the UAE, to Dubai, you want to have it as a plan B, you might buy that property, rent it out on Airbnb. A lot of our clients do this. They buy property in the UAE, or they buy, for example, 2 properties, start a little Airbnb business. There's a lot of apartment management companies in the UAE that will take care of that for you. They make 8 or 9% per year on their investment. And then if at some point they want to move to the UAE, they can easily because they have that golden visa and they don't need to even go to the UAE. Whereas with the 2-year permit that you get through opening a free zone company, you have to go every 6 months in order to keep that visa valid. The golden visa, you don't even have to go to the UAE and you get more special perks. You don't have to do the medical every 2 years and so on. So we have a lot of clients that buy property, they rent it out, or they then start an Airbnb business of some sort later on in the UAE. Cyprus, although not part of the Schengen area, it is part of the European Union. They give you permanent residency, 300,000 euros into real estate, gets you permanent residency in an EU country. This works really well for nationalities that don't have access to Europe and they have pretty bad passports. For example, we're helping a Nigerian family get permanent residency in Cyprus to then have easier access to visas in other countries. They don't want to get a St. Kitts passport. They don't want to donate to any country. They just want to buy real estate. So they bought real estate in Cyprus. They're getting permanent residency. Being a Nigerian citizen with Cypriot permanent residency is much better to apply for visas to the United States, for example, or to Canada or to other countries that they want to visit or they want to have business interests in. Panama also is an interesting country, specifically for Americans, for Canadians. $300,000 or more into real estate can grant you residency, specifically permanent residency. And a lot of people are interested in Panama. We have clients going to Panama to open businesses, to invest in crypto, to buy real estate. So overall, a country that is attracting a lot of wealth around the world. It isn't super safe or incredibly safe, as a lot of people say. You have to be careful, specifically in Panama City, but it's a good mix of a Miami with some Latin charm, or although Miami already has Latin charm, but even more Latin charm, great food, a country that has a lot of cities and a lot of pockets of foreigners living in Panama, and well connected to the rest of the world. A program that might come back in the future, and that is Montenegro. 500,000 euros or more into real estate. I'm assuming that it's going to be higher if it does come back, because the European Commission obviously will add more restrictions because Montenegro is going to join the European Union pretty soon. So they might say, okay, we're going to let you have your program and allow you to have, let's say, 1,000 more applicants. But under these conditions, let's say they have to buy €1 million in real estate, they have to donate a bunch of more money. So the program might come back. It might not even come back, but if it does come back, it might come back a lot more expensive. Stay tuned, because if they do join the European Union, then obviously it's going to be a European passport, and the European Commission doesn't want to sell European citizenship. So overall, this program might not even come back. And lastly, as I mentioned with Serbia, you can buy real estate, you can open a business, you can hire people, and then depending on your profile, as long as you're not a criminal and you have a good passport already, or even in some cases, if you don't have a good passport, but you contribute enough to the country, you can also get citizenship by exception. If you're looking for a second passport, you definitely want to watch this video right here on the 4 underrated passports that you should consider getting, 4 countries that you should consider investing in to get a second passport that almost nobody talks about. Check them out right here. You're going to learn a lot, and you might find your perfect opportunity for a second passport.